Hey guys, meteorologist Lindsey Slater here. So let's just kind of recap a little bit of Hurricane Melissa. Definitely one for the record books. At one point yesterday, the pressure got to 892 millibars. This puts it on the third strongest by pressure, but the second strongest cyclone by winds. The only storm to get anything higher than 185-mile-an-hour peak, like maximum sustained winds, not the peak gusts. There were some reports yesterday of peak gusts over 250 miles an hour, which is honestly terrifying to even consider. If you're talking sustained winds that are 185 miles an hour, you know, in these eye wall sections, we're talking a 30 to 40 mile an hour F4 tornado, like that consistently happening. That's what we're talking about. Just these blatant destructive winds. And so this storm became the second strongest on record, only topped by Hurricane Allen from 1980 with winds of 190 miles an hour. So the first landfall, we had two different landfalls at this point. We'll get a third kind of in the Bahamas. First landfall was Tuesday at 12:03, and then the second landfall was Wednesday at 2:10. So that was this morning at 2:10. That was in Cuba as a Category 3. Melissa, as it stands now, is a basically right in the middle of a Cat 2. So if I click on that, you can read about the rainfall potential, the rip currents. The key messages, I think, are the most important parts. Jamaica's message today was you need to remain sheltered after storms due to down power lines and flooded areas. Ensure your generators are properly ventilated. These are just some things to consider. Drinking lots of water to avoid heat exhaustion. But looking at where it's heading next, if we look at the cone here. So right now it is leaving Cuba. It is on its way to go to the Bahamas. These are some of the areas, Cat Island and the Cays. Turks and Caicos are under tropical storm watches. And this will push its way to the northeast and then eventually impact Bermuda, which is right here as a Category 1, and then move its way out, way further out as a tropical storm and likely ending over the weekend. As you can see, it heads into almost the North Sea, if you will. It kind of almost gets there. So very strong system. Again, it is right now sitting at about, we're looking at these winds here, 105-mile-an-hour winds. Category 2 is nothing to scoff at. Extremely dangerous winds, extensive damage, near total power loss expected. But think about the 157 miles an hour. So actually, this is one of my favorite videos I like to show students. This kind of showcases you what intensity can do. And you can see Cat 1, this is what happens. You have those palm trees. They're just kind of swaying in the wind, really struggling to hang on there. You get to Cat 2, you're losing those, the shingles, you're losing structure points of the home. Now we get to Cat 3. This is when you get to those decimating catastrophic failures of things. The trees are starting to fall. The house is being peeled away. Category 4, the trees are all falling. Everything is basically just nothing. And a Cat 5 can mean you're down to foundation and there's just debris everywhere. So that's why there's no such thing as a Category 6, because after 5, there's usually nothing left. Now, I don't think they're going to redo the scale because, as you can see, it says 155 plus right here. If I click it again, you'll be able to see. It says, come on, there we go, 155-mile-an-hour plus. So that encompasses anything over that. And we had this storm at 185 miles an hour. So what is next in our forecast? Well, Halloween's coming up. Record high on Halloween day for Milwaukee. 80 degrees back in 1950. I'm just going to scoot myself back over here. Record lowest high temperature 30 degrees in 1917. Record lowest is 20 back in 1917. And you can also see that, yes, we had that snowstorm from 2019. I can't forget that one. 5.4 inches. So yeah, that was definitely one of those weird Halloweens. What is this Halloween going to be like? Well, we need to look at some upper level patterns so we can see what's going on. Don't mind the random ads here. So this is a look again at the European weather model that does showcase that upper level system that got stuck there. There's Melissa right there. And as we go throughout the day, we dodged this one completely. So what happened is it got taken out of the jet stream. It turned into an upper level low. It swung around and then it got reabsorbed into the jet stream. This does keep us a little bit cooler going into November, slightly below average. And then we do warm up right there. It does look like we have some nice warming going on heading into the beginning of November. And that would actually be nice considering. I'm going to keep a very close eye on what's going on in Texas. You see right here, down there. Watch this. There's an area of low pressure that develops after right there. Almost looks like a very small tropical cyclone. So it looks like it's off the end of a cold front that passes through here, and then it gets stuck up in some winds and turns into something tropical. So we'll see what goes on with that. That's really far out from now. So our Halloween, I don't really have anything big in the forecast to tell you about. You can see that there is that upper level low swinging around. Totally missed us completely. If we look at anything further from this, I'm going to change the precip because we're getting to that part of the year where I have to consider winter precip. But we're getting to Thursday. Thursday looks good, a little cooler. There's a little short wave north of us, another upper level system right there, as you can see, starting here. So those are isotherms rather. These are lines of equal thickness. And this is basically showcasing, or isoheights rather, sorry. And you can see right here that we do have a little cool bit that pops up there on the GFS. The European, I don't think has that in particular. I don't think the European, no, it does have that. Okay, so the European has that too. So there is like this little tiny short wave that goes through during this time. At this point, let's look at the current temps. So you can look at the temperatures and how it affects the temps during that time. It does keep us cooler for the weekend. I think that's definitely a possibility. As far as rain chances go, though, I would say at this point, I did not want to include rain chances on Saturday personally. I know you see a little bit of blobs there, but we're also going to have a pretty easterly wind, and that might miss us. So I'm going to keep us dry for Saturday. I think it's more easily able to see some activity on Monday afternoon. There's a cold front that passes through, and then we are going to be pretty mild right here as a ridge kind of sets up. So you see these dashed lines. So those lines are showing me thickness levels of the atmosphere, and as you can see, they have red lines. So without getting too technical, I won't get into thickness with you guys, but basically it's like measuring the columns of air. So the warmer air has a lot more space to roll around in. Warmer air is less dense, so it creates higher thickness profiles. There's lower thickness profiles if you have colder air because cold air is more dense. So that's thickness profiles. So I'm looking at these lines of equal thickness, and I know that the higher the number, the more warmer air there is. And that's what these red dashed lines are really showcasing to me, that I'm seeing some warmer air. But you see the blues? The blues, that's colder column of air. And it is kind of a meteorological note. Whenever you get below the 5400 line, typically speaking, that's your rain snow line. If you get below the 5280, you're definitely talking about like cold, fluffy snow because there's not a lot of moisture in that thing. So that's kind of what we use as like a rule of thumb. It doesn't always mean that's the case, especially when it's so close together. You can have mixed precip events. I'm not seeing anything like that. I think we're way too warm for any snow just yet, but I do start to see some things popping, so we'll see. Anyone has access to these weather models, but it's now that time of year where I need to do my yearly post of make sure you know who to trust. So otherwise, yeah, I think that's it. Our Halloween looks really good. I have temperatures on Halloween, which is right here. I have it in the low 50s, and then if we get to like 9 o'clock at night, you can see the temperatures dropping down to about 44, 45 degrees there, and we bottom out in those 30s overnight. Rain chances during this whole time, if you just scroll down, they're pretty much in that like isolated category. I would say Sunday night, Monday is your best opportunity here. Otherwise, that is all I have on the docket for you guys. I don't have any, see, there's no 24-hour snow just yet. We are good there. So you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow.